My name is Elena Falcone. I'm the Director of Outreach Programming at the Westchester Library System, and I am a ridiculously proud co-chair of the Senior Law Day Collaborative. I'm co-chairing with Sarah Steckler and Melinda Bellis. Melinda is on the call today, and we're presenting this with Bruce Siegel, and today's speaker is Byrke Sestok. We've got some great information to share. One of the first things I want to say is that, given all the challenges that we're all facing, the collaborative has just been really eager to continue its work, even if we have to do it virtually, to bring authoritative information forward on legal and financial topics, as well as other topics of relevance to older adults. So that's what we're doing today. And those of you who are familiar with the work of Senior Law Day may know that we have a website, which I'm going to share with you right now, called seniorlawday.info. The URL for that site is up here at the very top of the screen, which I hope you can see. So I wanted to mention the site early and often because this is the reference point for everything that we do. On this site, today's webinar will be, hopefully, once I can check on something that was said or you want to refer someone else to it, please direct them to this website. This website also has video content from prior events, and you can see in the menu bar across the top the types of things that we have available. So you can get some of the presentation decks, some of the videos that we've taken from prior events, and all of this can inform you about topics that are really essential now. In fact, if you click on program topics, you can see the array of things that we are ready to talk to you about today. So please make yourself familiar with this site. The other thing that's here, as you can see on the main page, is a list of upcoming events. We're going to be scheduling a few more of these webinars, and just keep coming back to this page. But if you can also share your email address, which we have now, but tell us if you want us to continue to email you updates of events that are going to be landing here. The other thing I want to point out is that through the Westchester Library System, we've linked to a page on authoritative resources related to the COVID-19 crisis, pandemic event, pick your word of choice. We also have the all-important Ask Us button that some of you heard me refer to earlier. If there's any question that's not addressed by today's event that you've walked into this program carrying, or if something else comes up that's related to your health, wellness, legal, and financial issues, we will do our best as a collaborative. We have about 150 professionals engaged in bringing information forward to older adults in the county. So if you have any question, you simply click this Ask Us button and some magic happens. That email goes to our team of collaborative members, and we'll find a way to get you an answer. It is an email. If you would prefer to be answered by phone, again, include your phone number as it says at the top in the detailed explanation of your question, and we'll do our best. So we're kind of your personal reference team for anyone who's connecting to our services. And these days, and right now, that's an important, any port in a storm, you really do need to find if you need to find information, we are really here to get it for you. So I wanted to make sure that you saw the page, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So I just did the magic that Zoom allows us to do. I can share my screen, I can see many of you, but not all of the now 22 attendees. Yay. I want to give you a bit of sort of Zoom etiquette that's going on. You've entered a Zoom meeting and you are in fact muted because the sound makes it, the system can only carry so many talking people, and we wanted to definitely get one person's presentation out to you. But you're not necessarily silent. You're able to use the Q&A or chat buttons that are at the bottom of your screen. I think you have both Q&A and chat. Let me just double check. You have a Q&A button. So if you have questions, you can send them and chat. You can send them in. Note that this is being recorded because we're trying to create a video that we can post to our website. So this is being recorded. And if you put in your Q&A question, your name is not necessarily going to be recorded. So your participation is in fact anonymous. You can ask your questions by clicking on the Q&A button, and it should open up a window, and you can type your question in there. You can ask your question anonymously. But if you do so and we don't get to your question, we can't get back to you to answer. So we'll do our best to answer all the questions that are offered, but in all likelihood, we'll have to follow up with some questions afterwards. So use the Q&A and feel confident that we're not going to be sharing your personal information anywhere. Always something that you should be aware of. And finally, let me see, I want to check my notes. Yes, if you're having any technical difficulties, my name again is Elena Falcone. I'm one of the panelists. You can use the chat feature to shoot me a message. I will keep an eye on the chat box and see if I can troubleshoot your ability to hear, see, or follow whatever's taking place today. So you know who we are. You know that we're here to help. You know how to find some more information by going to seniorlawday.info, and you know how to get in touch with us during this presentation. So with that, I want to turn this over to Byrke Sestok of Retirement Wealth Partners. I know that Byrke is super eager to bring this information forward because he just is here to help, and he's got some great information that we all need. So Byrke, I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you, Elena. That was a terrific introduction to the program and an overview of Senior Law Day services. I really appreciate it. Allow me to say good morning to all of you. Thank you for your attendance. So I am Byrke Sestok. I am a certified financial planner professional with Retirement Wealth Partners in Harrison, New York. This beautiful city behind me, of course, is White Plains, somewhat the heart of our county here. And certainly a better backdrop to look at today, and I'm excited to present to you. So in addition to my service to Senior Law Day, I am president of our local Financial Planning Association chapter. It's the Greater Hudson Valley chapter, and I also serve the Financial Planning Association nationally as the chair of the One FPA Advisory Council Executive Committee. I am in my 20th year serving as a financial planner. This is what I do day in and day out for my clients. And I'm happy to provide additional information here to the community. I hope what I share with you today is valuable. So with that, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me. Certainly right now is a difficult time. We've been facing a terrible health crisis with COVID-19 as it spreads across the US, and us here in New York are particularly hard hit. This is going to be a particularly harrowing time for many of us for a multitude of reasons. We are likely to know loved ones, friends, and colleagues that will get sick and possibly pass away due to this disease. We could become sick and possibly die as well. I pray for all of us to remain healthy and implore you to take the appropriate guidelines and precautions as issued by New York State and our state and local elected officials very seriously. This is a legitimate health threat. If you have not paid attention to our governor, there's no hoax. This is real. You must take it seriously. So if you're listening, please do everything you can to protect yourself and your family and friends. For the bulk of this presentation, I'm going to try to go in and out so that you can see me, but also see the slide deck that I'm going to present from. It's my goal that after each slide, we'll pause and take some questions. I won't be able to field every question if there's a lot of them. Looking at the clock, and we have about 50 minutes left in this broadcast. So I want to make sure that I'm conscious of that timeline. So each slide will take a pause, answer some questions. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock so that we stay on the timeline, but also get all the information out to you that I can provide today that will be helpful. All right, so the focus of this presentation will be about your money and how to weather the challenges that many of you will face regarding income and retirement assets. With these presentation guidelines in place, let's get the presentation started. So I'm going to switch over to the slide deck here. All right, that work, Elena? You can just nod your head. Okay, great. So if I am not able to get to questions or you have extremely personal questions and need to reach out to me, here's my contact information, burke.sestok@lpl.com. Feel free to email me, or you can give me a call at 914-220-6196. That is my office number. I am working from home like many and most people. However, to the beauty of the internet, I can bring my work phone home with me and plug it right into my router. It's voice over internet protocol, and it rings right here, which actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put it on Do Not Disturb so it does not ring during my broadcast. So that's how you reach out to me. I am affiliated with LPL Financial, hence the disclosures at the bottom of the screen. Everything I do for Senior Law Day, pro bono. I accept phone calls and emails. I try to help the community out in the best way possible. Anything I do today, or if you call me, there's no obligation to do any business with me. I just want that to be clear. I will give you as much information as I can to help you out, particularly during these times when people are going to need it. There's going to be a lot of financial challenges for many families locally here in Westchester, throughout our state, and certainly throughout our country. So let's move on to the next slide. If I can figure out how to click the button. There we go. All right, so before we begin discussing money matters, I want to spend a quick couple of minutes on where you should turn to information and assistance as it relates to the health matters of COVID-19. It's imperative that you protect yourself and others by following the New York State guidelines for COVID-19. You may find precautions and a plethora of information about COVID-19 virus at coronavirus.health.ny.gov/home. That's up here on the screen. Please take a look at it and jot it down. If you want to pause for a second and pop it into your browser now and bookmark it, it is a good source of information. I will put this slide back up at the end of the presentation if you need to take a peek at it again. It is strongly suggested people age 70 and older to remain indoors as much as possible. I know this is a huge challenge. I am here at home with my wife and daughter, and I love them dearly. I'm happy to have company, but it's feeling a little lonely, and I'm sure some of you are feeling a little lonely out there. That said, video conferencing is a great way to interact with friends and family. I encourage you all to use it. Get on Skype, get on Zoom like we are here, whatever other video conference opportunity you have, and stay connected, right? We need this human interaction. I did not realize how important human interaction was to me until I've been isolated, but like at least I said, I have my wife and daughter here that I can do, and every now and then, you know, we see neighbors pass by and we shout from the front steps and have a quick conversation, but we're keeping ourselves protected. The governor does encourage you getting out to exercise, but if you do go out, maintain distances of at least 6 feet from other people. I'm sure you're probably all well aware of this by now. I would suggest try to maintain even greater distance. A lot of what we're learning here is on the fly, and you don't want to catch COVID-19. If you can avoid it, do everything you can. If you're able to secure a face mask, wear one outside of your home. This is on the website for 70 and older. There is some information kicking around that this may be encouraged for the population, but I am not going to put that out there. 70 and older, please wear a mask if you can. Same thing, avoid public transportation. I think the reasons for that are obvious. If you intend on having visitors to your home, ask them ahead of visiting to take their temperature for signs of fever. If you have a digital forehead thermometer or able to secure one, keep it handy by the entrance to your home and ask any visitors to use it prior to entering your home. If you need information regarding COVID-19 or you feel you may have been infected, please call Westchester County Health for help at 914-813-5000. If you wish to be tested at the drive-through facility in New Rochelle, you must make an appointment. To do so, call 888-354-3065. So with that out there, we're going to get into the meat of our specific presentation here, but reach out, ask for help. We'll have other resources available through Senior Law Day on the website as well for other topics as it relates to financial or legal matters that you may need assistance with. So with that, here are the objectives of this presentation. We want to identify options to address income disruptions, present longer term ideas to help with difficult financial times now and in the future, discuss distribution strategies for retirement and non-retirement accounts and the associated tax considerations, and identify planning opportunities you can consider to improve your finances when we emerge from COVID-19. Now, this is a wide open audience. I don't know everybody's financial situation here. I don't want you to share it. Please don't type your personal information into the chat. But I'm trying to hit a wide scope. Some of the things that I share may or may not apply to you. Like I said, if it's specific and you want to give me a call, go ahead, but I'm going to try to put out here some information that everybody can take advantage of. So, oops, that's not the right button. All right, here we go. If you are experiencing income disruption, here are some of your options. Your income may be disrupted while our economy shuts down to combat the spread of COVID-19 virus. Just as it is important to be proactive about health precautions, it is important to be proactive to protect your income needs. In New York, we do not yet have a timeline of how long businesses, shops, restaurants, and everything else may be closed or limited in access. This means that if your money is tight or tightening, you should take steps to address the situation now. Right? Let's make proactive moves when we especially don't know how long this is going to go on. The governor has been giving daily updates, but it seems that we're going to continue to work on a 2-week rolling schedule from what I'm seeing, and this is going to continue to get added on as is continue to be necessary. It may be easier said than done. However, this is a time when reducing your expenditures may make a significant difference with your budget and bills. Some expenditures will be reduced for all of us because of the request to remain home. I personally am spending much less on gasoline and virtually nothing on dining out. That's good for my budget. I feel for the small businesses that are losing all of our dollars right now, that if you can support any of them, help them out, but also have to protect yourself financially. So I'm spending less just naturally. For some of you, takeout or delivery may be essential for daily living. So support those local businesses. To the extent possible, consider home grocery delivery with easy to prepare items such as microwave entrees, which will still cost significantly less than expensive restaurant meals. This will help keep your budget down. For what I've been doing, I've taken advantage of curbside pickup at Whole Foods and DeChico's. They've been doing great service. I have a daughter that has a lung disease, so I am particularly vigilant here to protect her health, and those two options have worked for me. I've spoken with some of my clients, and they're still going into the grocery stores, and they're older, and if you can set up a delivery or pickup, please do that. Let's see, where was I? In addition, for reducing expenditures, exercise restraint from buying goods and service through online means, such as Amazon. Sitting at home with your phone or computer is an easy way to order items that you probably don't need. I know I get the temptation all the time because everything is tied into your email. You get ads for exactly, I don't know how Google does it, how Amazon does it, but they know exactly what you want and they put it in front of your face. To resist that temptation, try calling a friend or starting a text conversation or read something is a better choice than spending right now. Okay. As I said, I know it's easy to say, reduce expenditures, but focus on that so that your money lasts longer while we know these challenges are going on. Monitor your cash on hand. I strongly suggest using electronic methods of payment, specifically no-touch options such as credit cards you swipe yourself. Limit actual paper cash use as much as possible because COVID-19 can remain on surfaces. Right now, you should have access to at least 2 months cash if your financial situation permits. Prudent financial planning, what I practice with my clients, typically calls for 3 to 6 months of cash reserves. If you do not have at least 2 months of cash right now, and you have or are likely to experience an income disruption, here are some options to consider to help you persevere through this crisis. Some of these you may like, some you may not. I know that the first one here can be a little controversial. Consider borrowing from friends or family. if they offer to help, or if you know you'll be able to repay them in a timely manner. Pay attention to legislation that may pass involving stimulus checks sent to Americans. So we already know that legislation passed since I wrote this deck. It looks like stimulus checks are going to be coming out the week of April 13th. Just as a quick update on that, if you're not aware, if you filed your 2019 tax return and you had direct deposit for that on a refund, your check, stimulus check, will go directly to your account. If you did not file 2019 tax return yet, it will be based on your 2018 refund status. So if you use direct deposit in 2018 and haven't filed 19, you will get direct deposit for your stimulus check. If you requested a paper check from the Treasury, that'll come to you via paper. I'm not going to go deeper on that, but I figured since that information is out, I wanted to share it with you. If you need some money to get by and know a check is coming, it may ease your feelings about borrowing from friends or family, because you may be able to use that check to pay them back right away if you're having a short-term cash crisis. This avenue is certainly not palatable for everyone. If you do consider borrowing from family or friends, be honest with yourself if repayment will be possible. Selecting another option is better than damaging a relationship. You know, right? We want to take care of our loved ones. If you think that you are not going to be able to meet some of your bills, whether it be people that you owe, such as credit cards, or even your oil bill, gas bill, landlord, mortgage company, act now to negotiate with creditors before you are late or miss a payment. I've been pleasantly surprised hearing from clients and also on my own experiences that many companies are being receptive to what's going on and recognize that we have massive challenges and are being accommodating. With this being an unprecedented time, many creditors will help you if you tell them in advance that you may not be able to meet your monthly obligation. I cannot speak for what your options may be, but you have to ask. The time to ask is not after missed payments, when penalties and late fees may add to the bills you cannot pay. Now, Governor Cuomo has said that late fees will be suspended on consumer debt, but I don't know that for sure that's going to apply for every bill that you may have. So this is why I'm encouraging you to make those phone calls now. As I said, additionally, we may see legislation that will help you with things such as mortgage or rent deferral and other government assistance. Your creditors may be able to share with you legislative options so that you protect your good standing and credit rating. Many credit card companies have already announced that they will offer accommodations due to the COVID-19 crisis. And just to reiterate, when I get to the bottom of the slide, that's when we'll pause for questions. Elena, do we have any questions coming in? Just give me a head nod if not yet. Okay. If you are still employed and have a retirement plan, you may be eligible to borrow from it. Most ERISA plans, such as 401ks and 403bs, have borrowing provisions that allow for borrowing 50% of the account balance up to a maximum of $50,000. I believe that there is some changes that may bring that up to $100,000 with COVID-19. At the time I wrote this deck, that wasn't clear. Just wanted to give you an update on that. The pros to this option are repayments can be made over a timeline of up to 5 years, and the interest you owe on the loan is paid into your account. So if you use a 401k or 403b loan as a way to get through these times, the interest that you're paying back actually goes to you. You still do lose it out of cash flow, but at least you're not paying it to a bank as lost money. While there's a cost to the money, you're paying yourself that cost. The most impactful cons to this option are small fees are usually charged to set up the loan, and sometimes an annual maintenance fee applies. In most situations, those fees are less than $100. I can tell you from emails I've been receiving from retirement plan companies that I have relationships with, many, I won't say all, but many have agreed to either waive or reimburse those fees for loan documentation from your retirement plans. So before you take a loan, ask about it, find out if any fees will be applying to you. In relation to the COVID-19 crisis. Additionally, another con, if your employment terminates at your will or your employer's, the balance due on the loan is typically due within a matter of days of severance. So if you're confident, if you're still working and you're confident you're going to retain your job through this crisis, you can certainly consider borrowing. But if you think that you may be laid off or terminated through this, consider carefully before you take that 401k loan, because it will pop up automatically as current income. Be aware of that. If you cannot repay the loan, you will owe regular income taxes on the outstanding balance. And if you're under the age of 59 and a half, you are likely to owe an additional 10% IRS penalty on the outstanding balance. Now, we will likely see some legislation that will lift the 10% penalty, but most of the taxation that you're going to experience is going to be your federal and state income taxes, and that's still going to apply if your loan is automatically due. So be careful with that one. Feel free to give me a ring or send me an email if you'd like to explore your options. If you own your residence, it's generally good to have a home equity line of credit established at any time, not just during this COVID-19 crisis. It's an excellent way to back up your cash reserves with another line of credit to create cash flow if you need it. Excuse me. If you do not have one established currently, consider applying for one now, even if you are not tight on cash. The timeline to secure a home equity line of credit is not usually long, but it's likely to be longer than normal since banks are experiencing increased activity because of the economic needs of its customers right now. I use 3 different banks. Every single online application that I've seen has a orange or yellow warning banner saying, if you call in, it's going to take forever. Try to use online services. I expect that to be a same delay if you're trying to establish a home equity line of credit. So be prepared for it to take a while. I mention this because if this is something that's going to help you with us being unsure how long this is going to continue, start applying for a home equity line of credit now if you don't already have one in place and you think this would be a good solution. It's going to take longer to get it approved. It's important to note that you typically need to be earning active working income to obtain a HELOC. One thing that I just want to quickly mention, there are other ways that you can obtain financing on your home to access equity due to the compliance requirements of my firm. I can't go into those, but if you want additional information, give me a ring or shoot me an email. So there is more than one way than a home equity line of credit to access equity in your home for cash flow purposes. If you have non-retirement investments, you may be able to obtain securities-based lending. This is different than margin lending. Okay, some of you may be familiar with margin, some of you may not. Margin is a way that you can borrow to buy additional stock or other securities based upon the securities that you already own. Securities-based lending is not that. It is purely a secure lending where your assets in your account are pledged as collateral, and you can borrow a percentage, sometimes up to 50% of the account, to use for cash flow and then pay it back over time with an interest rate, or possibly sell some of your securities to pay off the balance. Typically, the lending rates are less and the restrictions on borrowing are fewer than margin, so that's why I bring this up. Contact your broker-dealer or custodian to inquire whether they offer securities-based lending. I will not field topics on this question. I will not field questions regarding this topic today, but you can contact me individually if you wish to learn more. Because this requires specific advice on securities, I can't broadcast my thoughts on that, but I will speak with you individually if you need more. Most financial planners will discourage you from taking on unsecured personal debt through credit cards or personal loans because the interest rates on these options are likely to be at least double than the other options we've already reviewed. That said, this may be a financial emergency for you, and any option is better than running out of cash, right? We need food. We need to keep the lights on. We need to get through this. and we need to protect our health. As I mentioned, my daughter earlier, I said to my wife, who is struggling with work right now, I said, listen, we can replace money, we can't replace health. We certainly can't replace our daughter. So if credit cards or other unsecured personal loans are an option that works for you, I would suggest worry about things on the back end and do what you need to do to get through this short and hopefully not longer than medium-term crisis. Any option is better than running out of cash. If you need a short-term solution, credit card usage may be what it takes for you to get by. If you want to have a fixed loan with a clear payment schedule, a personal loan may be a better choice. Most major credit card issuers offer both types of loans, so call your credit card company as a good start. I'm also going to mention bankrate.com as an excellent web resource to look at different banks and financial institutions and see what loans, savings rates, and other options are available in the marketplace. With that, I'm going to pop back over the screen here and say hello. If I can figure out where to do that. Oh, pause share. There we go. Did we have any questions come in, Elena?
Yes, we have. Do you have them on your Q&A screen?
Oh, yep, I see it. Okay, so are there any lending scams that we should be aware of? If I'm going to check in with my panelists here. I see Sarah raising her hand. So Sarah, if you want to chime in.
Hi, Byrke. Thanks. Good morning, everybody. So there are absolutely many lending scams going on right now. There are also scammers calling individuals about their stimulus checks and asking people to provide personal information. So they think they're getting a stimulus check from this call that the IRS is calling, but in reality, you're giving your information to a telephone scammer. So unless you know who's calling, the IRS will never call you. Please don't give any personal information away over the phone. Don't click on any links and emails if you are not anticipating any sort of email from a trusted contact with a link, because financial scams, as people become desperate in this crisis, will absolutely be occurring more and more. And after the presentation, we'll make sure to post additional resources on our website, seniorlawday.info, regarding scams and contacts that you can reach out to during this time, like the Westchester County Attorney General's office and the district attorney, who can absolutely help you, as well as we can, determine whether or not the email, the call you got was legitimate or is a scam. So just please don't give out any personal information. People may be getting calls from scammers regarding their stimulus checks or loans or borrowing. So unless you initiated it, please don't do it.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you fielding that question. That was awesome. I see another question. Are loans from an IRA taxable? So just to go over that real quick again, loans, first of all, loans are not permitted from IRAs. They're permitted from 401ks and 403bs if your plan documentation provided by your employer allows for it. So you cannot borrow from an IRA. If you withdraw from an IRA, it is a distribution. If you take a loan from a 401k or 403b, that cash is not taxable. It's a loan. Just like if you borrow money from the bank, you don't borrow $20,000, you don't pay tax on the $20,000 that you borrow. They give you a check for $20,000. Same thing with a 401k or 403b loan. As long as you repay the loan over time and complete your payments, that money will never be taxable. If you do not complete your payments, or as I said earlier, if you are severed from employment, whether or not you want to continue payments, depending upon the terms of your 401k or 403b, that loan may be due immediately. So if you borrowed the money and spent it and then still have $15,000 on a $20,000 loan outstanding, as an example, you're going to owe income taxes on that $15,000. If you have the cash to repay the $15,000, then you won't be considered a distribution. That said, if you do take a distribution from an IRA will be fully income taxable to you. If you're under the age of 59 and a half, that distribution will have an additional 10% penalty. Again, some legislation coming out may waive that during the COVID-19 crisis. I can't speak to that for sure. I expect that to happen, but I am not an attorney, so I can't give you the legal matters on that. So I hope that answers the question thoroughly. With that, I am going to go back into my presentation because it looks like those are the questions we have for now. All right, back to screen share. Okay. All right, so if you are experiencing, I'm on the wrong slide here. There we go. Okay. If you are experiencing income disruption, New York State executive orders have been issued for financial relief. In New York, Governor Cuomo has already issued executive orders. If you happen to be tuning in from a state other than New York, please visit your state government website on updates regarding COVID-19 financial relief. I'm only speaking to what I know in New York today. In New York, we have 90-day mortgage relief. This means forbearing payments for 90 days from their due dates effective March 19th, 2020. These payments are not waived. You will have to make them, but they will be tacked on to the back end of your mortgage. So they don't go away, but you don't have to pay your mortgage for the next 90 days. Know that you will pay it in the future. If you have true financial hardship, you may be able to obtain a fully waived payment. Consult your borrower and ny.gov for additional information. That's where you're going to get that information that you need to figure out if that can apply to you. Late payment reporting to credit rating agencies is prohibited for New York residents for a period of 90 days. So I'm happy to hear that. Also, New York is offering mortgagors an additional 90-day grace period to complete trial loan modifications, ensuring that late payments during the COVID-19 pandemic does not affect their ability to obtain permanent loan modification. So if you're in the process of modifying your loan, you've got an additional time period to get that complete. Late payment fees and any online payment fees are waived for 90 days. In the legislature, I would not say that it's crystal clear which bills apply to late payment fees and online payment fees. I think more explicitly, we're referring to credit card, mortgage debt, things like that. If you are late on your oil bill and they charge a fee, I would like to think under legislation that that late fee will be waived, but that's not crystal clear. I would certainly, as I said earlier in the presentation, if any of these, any creditors that you're working with, call them now if you think you're going to be late and find out what your options are. Lenders must ensure that mortgagors do not experience a disruption of service if the mortgage servicer closes its office, including making available other avenues for mortgagors to continue to manage their accounts and to make inquiries. So as many businesses go through disruption, whether it's work from home or reduced workforce, staffing cuts and so on, if the business of lending is affected and that affects your ability to get service and pay your bills, that will not be held against you. You are now protected by a New York State executive order. Additionally, fees for overdrafts, ATMs, and credit cards will be waived for 90 days. I expect that all financial institutions will follow that rule. I also expect that because most banks are interstate, there may be some additional challenges. So again, if you think that you may be incurring fees, keep a good log, right? If you use an ATM or you review your credit card statement and you see a fee on there, make a log of it. The data was charged. Keep the receipt, whether you keep it electronically or in paper, and hold on to that. I have a feeling that this is going to be a time where fees still do hit your accounts, and it's going to be up to you to go back to your financial provider and request the reimbursement on those fees as it applies under New York State executive orders. So keep good records and be patient. If you have challenges here, I would suggest contacting your local government representatives. I've had to do that multiple times in my life as it relates to my daughter's medical care. Regardless of your political affiliation, local representatives are there to help you. I've gotten tremendous assistance when I've needed to reach out to them. Do we have any questions here, Elena? Okay, I figured there's pretty much informational. There wouldn't be, so I'm not going to pause here. I'm going to continue on. All right, so if you are tight on cash and now need to access your regular money, whether it's cash in the bank or brokerage investments, any other possible liquid investment that you have, I want to touch on that right now. So let me begin by defining non-retirement money. This is money you may have as hard currency, deposits at banks and credit unions, or regular investments in securities that are liquid upon sale. The money is not inside a retirement plan, such as a 401k or a SEP IRA or a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. Cash is rather straightforward. Other than what it's likely to be nominal interest, the tax implications are minimal when drawing upon cash to pay your bills. A common cash alternative many people use are certificates of deposit, commonly known as CDs. I found that many people are unaware that you can withdraw early from most CDs. People buy CDs, 2, 3, 5-year CDs and think they must hold on to them. That's simply not true. There is often a withdrawal penalty on a CD. And let me be crystal clear on this. It's usually just the interest you've earned for a specific period of time of the CD. So let's say you purchase a $10,000 CD, you're going to get your principal back. The penalty will not apply to any part of your principal. You just may not get some of the interest that was promised because you terminated the contract. So the reason why I bring this up, terminating a CD or partially terminating a CD is not really a harsh penalty whatsoever, if there even is one. So the penalty is usually interest accrued over a specific time period. One of the largest banks, Bank of America, imposes the loss of 90 days of interest on a 1-year CD, 180 days or 6 months interest on a 3-year CD, and 360 days, almost a full year, interest on a 5-year CD. The way that applies is it's usually interest accrued inside of that period. So I'm going to keep it simple. On a 90-day penalty on a 1-year CD, if you're on the last quarter of the year of interest, you're just not going to get the interest for that last quarter. The first 3 quarters of the year, you will still receive interest on. So I wanted to be crystal clear about that. This is a good source of cash to access. Don't be concerned. What was that? Oh, Melinda, can you mute? All right, I got it. All right. So if you need to access your CDs, call your financial institution, ask them what the withdrawal penalties are. The likelihood is that they're not a lot, especially since banks haven't been paying a lot of interest. So it's a good place to seek cash if you need it. For those of you who have investment accounts funded by non-retirement money, it's likely you are reinvesting capital gains and dividends paid out from those investments. You have the right to request that those capital gains and dividends be paid to cash into your account that you can then access. So if you have a lot of investments and you look at your statement and the projected income flow is, you know, $10,000 or $20,000 of dividends and interest, you can say, hey, don't buy more securities with that dividend and with that interest. Pay it out in cash, and then that cash is accessible to you to withdraw from your brokerage account. This is a good way to help you get through if you need cash. For many securities, I'm sorry, wait, I didn't finish here. You do receive a 1099 for capital gains and dividends on those investments for as long as you have them. You've been getting 1099 statements on your investments this whole time, even if you reinvest dividends and interest. When those those dividends and interests are credited, you owe tax on those amounts. So the only difference here is you're going to take the cash flow instead of buying more securities. For many securities, capital gains and dividends are taxed at a preferential rate that is lower than your marginal income tax bracket. So please consult your tax advisor for specific tax advice on that. But this is another good way to create cash flow. Tax loss harvesting is a term used to reduce or eliminate a current year capital gains tax liability. If your financial situation requires selling non-retirement securities, you may want to coordinate selling investments that have an unrealized gain, meaning the investment's worth more than what you invested originally, and can coordinate that with investments that have an unrealized loss. So for example, you have two $10,000 investments. One is now worth $13,000. The other one is now worth $7,000. You can sell matching parts of that so that your gain is offset by your loss, thus not creating a tax event on capital gains. So I want to bring that up. And just to say that clearly, when your net gains and your net losses add up to zero for the calendar year, you will not owe taxes on the gains because they are offset by the losses. You should also consider whether selling securities at a loss is your best decision, considering the recent substantial and rapid U.S. stock market declines. I'll touch on this momentarily. If you do need to sell non-retirement investments in this down market, the risk level of your investments should be considered as well. Typically, bonds hold their value better than stocks in a down market. U.S. Treasury, I'm getting an alert here, I just want to see what that is. Oh, chat box, okay. U.S. Treasury bonds are backed by our government, so investors have high confidence in being repaid with the promised interest. Corporate bonds are higher in the claims process than stockholders if a bankruptcy occurs for the bond that you're holding. Additionally, when stocks are sold for fear of market declines, proceeds are frequently used to buy bonds, which can push up the value of bonds. If you have the ability to sell your more conservative investments in the near and medium term, you will allow time for your stocks to potentially rise again before you may need to sell those for additional income. So let me just clean that up a lot because that was a big mouthful. If you need to sell investments in your brokerage accounts, your non-retirement money, you may want to consider selling your fixed income products such as bonds first, because they are likely to be closer to the value that you paid for them and maybe worth a little bit more, versus your stocks that have likely fallen tremendously as the stock market has crashed here and extremely rapidly. In a matter of 1 month. So the appropriate distribution strategy to consider: sell those bonds first, give yourself to have your stocks potentially climb back up again before you need to consider selling those. If your investments are all down significantly, this would be another good reason to consider securities-based lending. We definitely, the motto of investing is sell high and buy low. If you're selling your investments now, you are likely selling low. So securities-based lending could give you an opportunity to generate cash without actually having to sell your investments at a loss. So I bring that back up again. Contact your broker dealer or financial institution for additional information, or give me a call if you're not sure how to follow up on that. I know that we got a question here, so I'm going to stop my screen share and come back to the main window. All right. Where is the Q&A? We didn't get a question? Oh, I guess that was an alert that popped up. All right, so I'm going to keep going. I see we got about 9 minutes left in the presentation, and we are coming.
About 5.
Oh, 5? I got 10:51 on my computer. All right, so let me pick this up a little bit and get back to. All right. Okay, distribution strategies for retirement money. If you have other choices, you should avoid making withdrawals from your retirement plans or IRAs if you're under 59 and a half. There's some provisions that can permit you to avoid the 10% IRS penalty on early withdrawals at age 55 or even age 50. To examine whether you fall under those special provisions, consult your tax advisor or your financial planner. For most people, age 59 will apply, pending legislation of that penalty being waived for a period of time under COVID-19, either executive order or legislation. If you are over age 59 and a half and want to consider making distributions from your retirement plan, you should first estimate how much taxable income you can expect to receive in 2020. The federal tax bracket takes a steep 10% jump from 12% to 22% on income over $39,475 for individuals and $78,950 for married couples filing jointly. If you need additional income and taking it from a retirement plan will push you over these thresholds, you should carefully consider your other options before making a final decision. So what this means is if you need to take money out of your retirement plans, you also need to consider how much you're going to show as earned income on your 2020 tax return, so that you can make smart tax decisions before you take those distributions, if you have another source of money that will have a better tax scenario. Ask your accountant. Feel free to reach out to me after this broadcast if you have specific questions. Additionally, if you are age 65, you should also consider how additional income from retirement plans will affect your Medicare premium monthly payments. Your Medicare premium amount is based on taxable income earned 2 years prior. So your premium that you're paying in 2020 is based on your 2018 tax return. Decisions made in 2020 may affect your Medicare premium amount, therefore, in 2022. While we cannot be sure of the exact premium brackets that will be in place in 2022, we can use the 2020 tax brackets as a guideline. The base Medicare premium is $144.60 monthly. Sarah's got her hand up. Wait, I can unmute you. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thank you, Byrke.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that if anyone does need to withdraw funds resulting in the increase of their income, there is a form on the Social Security's website that can be completed, and an appointment can be made with your local Social Security office. And that form plus your prior year income tax return can be brought to Social Security, and a grievance could be filed to reduce your extra Medicare premiums. And that's something that my office or most accountants and most financial planners are able to give guidance on. So if that happens to anyone, just know that that's something that can be grieved with your local Social Security office.
Great info, Sarah. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. All right, so if for some reason the waiver doesn't apply to you, or you're not exactly how that's going to work, I just want to give you the information on what happens otherwise. So the base Medicare premium is $144.60 monthly. The first increase of $57.80 on that monthly bill, which would be a $693.60 annualized increase, happens when income exceeds $87,000 for individuals and $174,000 for married filing jointly. The next increase of $86.80 monthly, or 2 times the base premium, occurs at $109,000 for individuals and $218,000 for married filing joint. Withdrawals from retirement plans that could push you into the next bracket essentially trigger what would be considered an additional tax you need to pay by bumping up your Medicare premium. So as Sarah shared, there is potentially ways to have those increases waived, consult your accountant, attorney, or financial planner to discuss, but I want to make sure that you take that into consideration when you're planning to take money out of retirement plans. If you can coordinate your federal tax brackets and Medicare premium brackets well, you may be presented with an opportunity to fill up your tax bracket. This means to take greater withdrawals from retirement plans at a more favorable tax rate. Without going deeply on this managing managing taxable income under $40,125 for individuals and $80,250 for married filing joint keeps you in the 12% federal tax bracket. If you have space below those income numbers, withdrawing from retirement plans to fill up that tax bracket at a favorable 12% rate is likely advantageous for you to consider. The same applies at the 22% tax bracket, which ends at $85,525 for individuals and $171,050 for married filing joint. Please discuss this with your tax advisor. As always, I'm not a tax advisor, not permitted to provide specific tax advice, but I know a lot about this topic. So if you do need to reach out to me individually, I will make sure that you get the correct guidance and the sources to obtain it from. Finally, if you are still working and are eligible for a health savings account, but due to income shortfalls, you will not be able to fund your health savings account this year, you may want to consider exercising a qualified health savings account funding distribution. This little known rule can only be used once in your lifetime. It permits you to move money from your IRA to an HSA, so individual retirement account, to a health savings account. The amount is capped at $3,350 for individuals with self-only healthcare coverage and $7,100 for individuals with family coverage. It is generally unwise to take from your retirement, but if money is tight, then you are likely also going to have issues if medical bills mount this year. This movement of funds from an IRA to a health savings account is not taxable, and healthcare spending from a health savings account is not taxed either. So you essentially eliminate the tax on the money moved to the HSA, so the tax that you would be paying if you took an IRA distribution, move that money to HSA. And if you're under the age 59 and a half, you will also avoid the 10% IRS penalty. So you can create an opportunity for this to be tax-free. Did I just see a Q&A pop up? So that's, Sarah, there's a question here. Yeah, this is all you. You are not muted, so you can go ahead and talk. It says, what changes did New York State make to the Medicaid program?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So again, I'm Sarah Steckler, and I'm an elder law attorney at Keene & Bean. And this is a great question that would take an entire webinar to answer. So we're going to work to schedule a webinar on changes to the Medicaid program that just happened yesterday in the New York State budget, as there are many. But a quick answer is yes, you can still apply for home care Medicaid, but the rules regarding getting home care will all change as of October 1st of 2020. So we will prepare a program and a webinar for everyone to attend on these new rules so everyone can plan accordingly if they themselves might need home care, nursing home care, or they're a caregiver for a family member or a loved one. If you have very specific questions on this, please send me an email to ssteckler@kblaw.com, or you can also email Byrke or Elena and they'll put you in touch with me, and I'm happy to speak further on this. Thank you for your question.
Appreciate it.
You know, I also want to remind everyone that if they do have a question and they didn't catch that email address, they can go to the seniorlawday.info website, which I'm going to flash at you for one split second. You can go to this website and click on the Ask Us button. That question will come in and we'll make sure it gets to the right person. Let me stop my screen share.
Okay. I have one more slide. We're going a couple of minutes over, but I will be done in just 2 minutes. This last slide here, I think, is really important when it comes to medium and longer term money management decisions. The window is likely to be small, but now is the time to learn about and consider Roth IRA conversions. As you may know, money in a Roth IRA grows tax deferred, and withdrawals from a Roth IRA are tax-free after age 59 and a half. If your retirement plan investments have decreased considerably due to the market declines, you have a doubled opportunity to convert IRA money to Roth IRA money while your balances are lower. Plus, any return of value to your investments after you do a conversion to Roth IRA will be growth inside your Roth IRA, which will increase your future pool of funds for tax-free withdrawals. Again, consult your tax advisor just to clean that thought up. Pay the tax on some IRA money now while you can convert a larger portion of your IRA percentage-wise to Roth, and then let that reappreciation of investments grow tax-free rather than tax-deferred and future taxable in an IRA account. While it is permissible for you to convert money from your IRA and have taxes withheld from that sum, with the remaining difference deposited to your Roth IRA, this is far less efficient than paying the conversion taxes from regular money. So to clarify that, if you were to convert $20,000 of an IRA, for example, you want the deposit to the Roth IRA to be the full $20,000, so you get the maximum value of doing the conversion. If you take the taxes out of the $20,000 conversion, we call that cannibalizing your conversion, because let's say you owe 25% tax on the money, 15,000 ends up in the Roth. You have to have the account grow back to 20,000 just to recoup the taxes. So move all the money into the Roth. If you have the savings, pay it out of your cash flow to do the conversion. As mentioned earlier, filling up your tax brackets is often a good idea. The same consideration should be given to Roth IRA conversions. Filling up that 12 or 22% tax bracket, but not going over, and you know, this will let you get in at a lower rate before you get that big jump up in the tax brackets and force you to be taxed unnecessarily. So, you know, if you have to go up to $84,000 of income and your expected income this year is going to be $65,000, you may want to consider taking that $19,000 window and taking a distribution or do a conversion from your IRA to a Roth now, pay the taxes on the $19,000 difference between $84,000 and $65,000, and now you've got a Roth IRA started and you paid tax at a rate that's likely lower than what you'll experience in the future. Last thing to add to that, a potentially additional benefit of Roth IRA conversions is that you reduce your IRA balance. This will result in a lower balance total when you reach age 72, which is now the age that the IRS requires you to make distributions from your retirement plans and pay tax. If you're not aware, it was age 70 and a half. That changed January 1st with legislation, so the required minimum distribution age is now 72. The distribution calculation is an ever escalating percentage each year of your total IRA balance. It's not uncommon for required minimum distributions to force individuals into the next higher tax bracket, whether or not they need the income. By reducing your retirement plan balance now with a Roth IRA conversion, you may be reducing your future taxation as well. That is what I wanted to cover here today. I thank you for your time. I see Sarah's hand up, so I'm going to unmute her and then take a look and see if we have any questions, and that will wrap our presentation for today. Sarah, go ahead.
I know the concept, Byrke, that you were just mentioning is pretty abstract, but I think that if the participants to this webinar are curious on how a Roth conversion might be beneficial to them, you're able to meet with someone virtually and to show them a model of what it would look like and then help them determine whether or not it's a good idea for them.
Absolutely. I just need a little bit of personal information to understand what their likely tax situation is. And then I can model it out and we can take a look at what the effects are, not just in 2020, but also, you know, moving forward 5, 10, 15 years, so you can see how that may affect your wealth down the road. And from there, with math and facts, you can determine whether or not a Roth conversion is something that you should consider seriously.
Right. So if anyone is interested in that, please don't enter your information into the webinar. but you can reach out to Byrke as a resource after our program.
Okay. If this is the time, if you have any questions to add in here, I don't see anything in the Q&A box. Give it one more minute. While we're doing that, I do want to throw up the slide one more time from the beginning of my presentation that had the government resources that are available to you. Oops. So again, coronavirus.health.ny.gov/home. Westchester County Health for help 914-813-5000. COVID-19 testing in New Rochelle. Call for an appointment 888-354-3065. Elena, I saw you throw your hand up. Is that a question?
I'm gonna flash up a slide too before you go.
Okay, so I'm going to stop. Give it another 10 seconds here. I'm going to stop sharing, and Elena's going to put up another slide. And last chance for questions, and then we'll wrap.
We do have a question. Oh, someone said a thank you for our time. Thank you from a 78-year-old senior. So Byrke, yeah, that was our hope. I'm just going to share.
And we hope you join in for our next webinar, because we're going to have a webinar a week of great information for everyone, completely free to the general public. We're going to cover everything from staying safe online, giving you great tools to navigate the web, navigating home care, navigating elder law, as well as many other really useful topics. And if you can't tune in at 10 o'clock every week on Friday, then we're going to have these videos recorded and posted on our website, and hopefully with one of our community partners, the Westchester County Library System, who's one of our biggest supporters. So we're happy to get the content out there if you can't be live with us.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah. You summed it up. And again, seniorlawday.info is the place to go to find out when things are being scheduled, to ask us a question. And one of the things that came up earlier was about scams. I really want to encourage you to go to the link that we have for authoritative, current, free resources on this crisis that we're all facing. One of the things that's really come up is that scams abound. And you've all taken the step already to be well informed. Please be well informed about the things to avoid. There are no home test kits. People are knocking on doors, saying that they're going to come in and test you. Please don't fall for that. Find out more by taking a look at the Attorney General's website, which has been flagging a lot of this in a fast-moving time. But ask us questions and come back. We've certainly enjoyed having the opportunity to share this information today, and thank you so much, Byrke.
It's my pleasure.
Can you just zoom in on our website link so people can see it? It's a little small.
Oh, fully. Okay, let's see if I make the screen bigger, and I will make the text larger. It's not making the top of this thing larger. Seniorlawday.info.